This podcast encourages and empowers you to create your own unique real story, develop your own unique real statement, and discover your own unique real self. The power is yours. Good night, Erol, Ertumen. How are you doing on this wonderful, beautiful night?
I'm doing fantastic. I heard somebody say something yesterday that they're vertical. And so it's good. I'm vertical today, so that's good.
That sounds like fun. I appreciate being vertical as well. What part of the world are you in right now?
So I'm in the United States and close to Virginia. If you ever fly into the D.C. area, you'll fly into Reagan National or the Dulles International, about 5-10 minutes from Dulles International.
Sweet. How far is that from Arlington?
From Arlington, depends on the traffic, I'd say about 45 minutes to an hour.
All right. Sounds cool. All right. Yeah, we were in Arlington, and then we took the metro to the capital, and had a great time there.
Yeah, if you make it out, the last stop for the Silver Line is being put here in Ashburn, where we live. And if you make it out here, you should make it out to Leesburg. They have a place called the Loudoun County Ale Trail, lots of breweries and wineries, and kind of an unknown thing.
Yeah, I didn't even know about that. Well, the next time, hopefully. Let's see how our paths cross, yeah?
Yes.
Well, do tell me, which of your talents is responsible for us connecting at this specific time in history?
Well, I would say one is LinkedIn, and digging into LinkedIn and grasping more of the concepts of networking, becoming visible, credible, and profitable, and building legitimate relationships. And that's what I would say is responsible for us connecting.
That's cool. Who did you learn the aspect of networking from?
You know, I have to give credit to a guy out of Richmond here who made a big impact on my concept of this. He impressed me with the idea that it's on my shoulders when I connect with somebody to determine for both of us what the mutual benefit is in the connection. And that blew my mind. His name is Robert Wybe Youngblood out of Richmond.
Yeah, he's obviously a very wise guy, isn't he?
Yeah, I think so.
I hope he listens to when you answered there and you said, yeah, I think so. So is there someone in your family who, if you look deeply, you can see they did that as well?
I would like to say no. I did see my father is a very charming guy, and he knows how to communicate and socialize. So I would like to say, though, that I can't really pinpoint myself learning this from him. I think it was kind of elusive to me for a long time. So in this case, I would have to say no on that one.
All right. And where did the podcast come into being?
The podcast came from genuine connecting. So what I started to do about 2 years ago is I started to make it a point to really ensure I had a viable network. And to do that, I needed to understand what people did and why they did it. And they needed to understand what I do and why I do it. So I set out on a mission to make sure that everybody in my network, it was a legit connection. And I set aside 2 hours a day to just have connection calls with people. And I was on a mission with every single person to schedule time to have a call. And in this process, I had so many conversations and I found so many amazing things with people that I thought, wow, one, I need to extend these conversations further than this, 15 or 30 minute call. I need to share this with other people. And then I started to realize that it was a huge value to give people a platform to be able to share more about themselves. And that's when I thought, wow, well, let me start a podcast so that I can extend these conversations more. I can give another avenue for the connection to continue, and I can help these people out by sharing their story, which is going to help them become more visible, and it's also going to help other people to learn so they can be better themselves as well.
Love it. That's how I started as well.
That's awesome. Yeah, you've been doing some interesting things I can see.
Yeah, that's how it started. It started within a virtual group and wanting to connect the individuals that were in there to other individuals, as well as to find out more about their stories. And instead of asking for 15 minutes, I said, I'll ask for 12 minutes. Yeah, and that's where it started, my friend.
Yeah, you can learn a lot in a short period of time, and you can really determine if there's ways to help. If you're good with your questions, you can uncover things you like about other people, and all it takes is one thing that you connect with somebody with, and one thing that you do to maybe help them, and all these things compound over time, and it's just momentous.
Yeah, I guess that's where the name of the podcast comes in, right? Erol helps entrepreneurs increase visibility, credibility, and profitability.
Bingo. Yes. 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 Like that was one of the things that was a real challenge for me to start off with when I was connecting is being able to answer the question, what is it that you do? And being able to clearly say, who is it that you help and what do they receive when you help them? I probably spent about 3 months trying to figure that out and kind of came to, okay, let me focus on who I help and work backwards from there. And that's was all integral and part of that process.
Love it. Tell me one other thing that you've done consistently over the last 3 years.
One thing that I've done consistently over the past 3 years is wake up early, plan, and visualize really every step of the process.
How does that make you feel?
Well, I guess it depends. So looking at it right now, I feel as if I've got a good process that works. And I guess that's how I would answer that. That's an interesting question. How do I feel about that? I feel like it's absolutely necessary, and I feel as if it's imperative, and it's been a critical piece to my success.
When you look back from now to then to see what you've accomplished because of the consistency you've applied to that, how does that make you feel?
That's also an interesting question. I would say when I look back, if I really look at this, I'm a bit amazed and I would say pleased. I will be very frank. I'm more focused always going forward, and I rarely step back to really try to think about, I guess, how pleased I am with the results so far, which I probably need to do more of a job with. But looking back, it really is amazing. I didn't expect to be where I am at the moment when I started. I just knew that I needed to do some different things to create some more opportunities. And then I tried to systemize and create new processes as I went forward. So I would say that, I guess in some ways it's satisfying, but I don't focus on that satisfaction enough, probably.
And then boomerang, you help so many other people get what they want, and then it comes full circle around, right? Just like a boomerang. Suggest to someone that's listening why they should at least consider doing what you've done, Erol.
Yeah, I would recommend, if you're not where you want to be, maybe you can't see where you want to be, you got to do something different. Maybe take a different route to work, maybe take a completely different schedule. But I can say that waking up first thing and controlling everything for 2 to 3 hours, where you plan everything out, you exercise, you do some affirmations, you write out your goals, you read them, you rewrite them, and you envision and you control it before anybody can put anything else in your brain. And perhaps maybe meditate or pray, do something to, really focus on yourself for a period of time. Would highly, highly recommend it. Open yourself up to, you managing your state and you managing your day before everybody else tries to take time and energy and thought and impress themselves upon you.
Love it. Sounds like Miracle Morning as well, yeah? They have a pretty cool acronym for it. SAVERS, yeah? Silence, affirmation, visualization, exercise, reading, and scribing.
Yep.
There
Absolutely.
We go. Well, amazing audience, you're hearing it live from Erol Ertumen. Erol, let's switch gears for a moment. Let me now invite you into my time machine that is surrounded with beautiful, warm blue Caribbean water. Erol, what's your earliest childhood memory?
I love that. My earliest childhood memory that I can remember, whether maybe I've made this up, but this is in my mind. What I remember is looking up and seeing my father and him putting his hand down and grabbing, with his hand, and me grabbing his pinky with him looking down at me. And that's what I would say is my earliest memory that at least is in my mind.
How old do you think you were in that memory?
I would have just been born, I guess. That would have been.
Wow. Why do you think this memory is so clear?
So this is actually a result of a process that I went through as I attended one of Tony Robbins' events. And if we had more time, we can go into a lot more detail. But when I was growing up, I had a lot of apprehension and I had a lot of hostility and didn't have a lot of self-confidence. And I ended up actually attending some events and we went through some processes. And I was a pretty angry kid. And in this case, we went through this process where we really looked at our memories. And we tried to go and look at all of the terrible memories, the ones that really made us feel angry or upset or made us cry or made us fearful. And we went through a process of looking at all of those, but then scratching them out. And we started looking back at the other memories that were really good. And we went all the way back to a point where the last memory we could think of. And what I got to was this memory of my father looking down at me and me looking up at him and him just having a smile on his face and just feeling so much love for the fact that I came into the world and I was up holding his finger. And at that moment, I realized, you know what? That's the truth. No matter what, he did the absolute best that he could do. He had so much love and caring for me. And I said, you know what? All my anger and frustration, hostility at this point, it's not true. This is the truth. And that was transformative for me. So that really stands out to me in terms of a memory, and that's how it came about to be so transfixed in my mind.
How do you see that memory connecting to who you are today?
Well, that was a pivotal moment. So after that, I took some massive action to really just drop the weight that I had on my shoulders, and I took massive action to start moving forward without that weight on my back, all of the weight of the anger, frustration, pain, and really putting responsibility on other people. And so that set a chain of really just massive action over about 20 years. And I wouldn't be here where I'm at right now without having taken those steps. That was critical.
That's absolutely amazing. Can I offer an interpretation to the thought picture you created in my mind, Erol?
Please do.
I love the concept of as powerful as I am or you are, and as much as you would like to do for another person, it's only to the capacity that they can hold. And it's for example, it's you as a child, right? Baby hands, like the pinky finger is the only thing you could have held at that point in time. And I think in relationships, it's very important to understand that.
I see a connection there.
Yeah. It's pretty intriguing. I wonder sometimes where these interpretation comes from.
Well, we all have our perspective, and we all often forget or choose not to realize that people have a different perspective, a different angle. And, it's definitely helpful to get other people's perspective. And sometimes it can be very objective, sometimes it can be subjective, but getting different angles and looking at things from different perspectives is really important.
I appreciate that. If we fast forward to when you were 12 years old, what was your favorite song?
Welcome to the Jungle, Paradise City.
Yeah, love it. I listened to that song today. Wow, the song carries a ton of energy, man. A ton of energy.
You got it.
All right, my friend. Well, we've arrived at our destination. But before we get off of this time machine, there's a small declaration form. So it's yes or no. We're going to move pretty quickly here. Are you ready, Erol?
Yes.
Erol, have you chosen someone to pass on your skills to?
Yes.
Are you married?
Yes.
Do you have children?
Yes.
Do you believe in God?
Yes.
Do you have an inner circle of friends?
No.
Do you watch TV for more than 3 hours a day?
Oh, no.
How about 3 hours a week?
Maybe sometimes.
All right. What about screen time, the phone and the computer? Is it more than 8 or less than 8 hours a day?
That's more than 8 or less than 8. That's tough. It's less than 8.
All right. Or if you had to share with us your own unique real statement, a statement that represents who you are, Erol Ertumen, what would you say that is?
This is a good question. What would be the first thing that comes to mind is that perfection is the absolute lowest standard. Fail your way to success, and keep your faith in something. Keep your faith in the fact that things are going to work out in your favor going forward, and that things are really just as they should be. So move forward and be positive, and that would be it.
Boom, Erol. Again, this was such a great pleasure. Before you leave, is there anything else you'd like to share with our amazing audience?
It would really depend, I think, on what would be of most value, but I would definitely say that the biggest success that I've had is really as I've tried to take my hands off of the reins a bit, and as I've focused not so much on absolutely controlling exactly what's going to happen going forward, but just being intentional and really trying to help others around me. And as I've invested more time in others, and I've stopped making myself the priority, that's when I've seen the biggest success. And that, if you told me that in my 20s, I would have had no idea what you're talking about, and I would have clung to me making sure that I was pleased, that I was having the best life that I could have, and that I deserved it. But everything started to change as I started to give that up.
Erol, this was such a great pleasure. Again, thanks for passing by. Erol, thank you for being on What is Inspired by 12-Minute Convos with Angel Jones.
This segment has been brought to you by Amazel Enterprise.